Okay, so what I would love is if the different universities that are here can go through and just give a little bit of information. And I know we needed Charlotte to go earlier on because she has to pop out for another meeting. So maybe we'll start with Oregon Tech. And Charlotte, if you can just share some information about things that you think would be relevant for advisors to know as their students are preparing to come to Oregon Tech, and then to also be able to get into the SSS program there. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Hey, hello, Charlotte over at Oregon Tech. Um, I would say our admissions process is pretty simple. We accept most everyone that applies. Um, it is a little bit of rolling admissions too. Our admissions department is very hands-on on trying to get students to come to campus. And if you're bringing students onto campus for a tour, we have a really strong relationships with admissions. Let them know that you're a trio group, and usually they'll reach out to us and find a time that we can have lunch together, which is really fun and exciting. Um, Trio, same same thing. We have rolling admissions. We will be changing our application uh, process a little bit, hopefully when we're refunded, um, because right now we're finding prior trio students are so well prepared for college from other trio grants that on our application they're not meeting our academic needs. Um, that being said, we are working to make sure that trio is going to be open for all students, no matter their GPA is high or low, because this is a space for community, for all, right, to connect with identity. Um, any questions for admissions, feel free to send those over to our top@oit.edu email. It's in the OTA pipeline website. Uh, also, if you are an advisor that's recommending our student into our program, please send us an email so that we can send you a recommendation form that will give students some little extra points to get into our program, because we over here we usually do fill up our trio SSS pretty early on. We are lucky for that, for having so many students that are excited to join us. Um,
Charlotte,
any
if somebody
questions?
filled out the OTA pipeline referral form, would that count for you as well, or they need to do your Oregon Tech one?
We probably in the future will be able to take that uh, in the future, meaning 2025, 2030 grant cycle will be able to take that. But right now we just have a specific Microsoft Forms where we are recording those responses. It takes around 3 minutes to fill out. Uh, but in the future, we are rewriting our emissions process so that we can have this OTA pipeline count as well.
I have a
Okay.
question for you, Charlotte. So when we're working with our students, do we need to go on to the OIT website, and is there a specific place that we find the application for them to send it in? Or, I mean, where is it at, I guess? How's the easiest place? What's the easiest way to find it?
Absolutely. For OIT's general application or for TOPS? Trio
So
SSS.
a trio.
Okay.
It'd be a trio application.
Trio, yes. And I'm sorry, I should have prefaced this. This should have been the first thing I said about Trio SSS at Oregon Tech. Oregon Tech calls Trio SSS TOP, or Tech Opportunities Program. We like to be unique and special over here, and get a little creative in that. So prior students are a little bit confused. We are the same exact program. We do put that Trio language on our website as well. But we have, if you just search Oregon Tech Top, pretty much any page in our webpage, we have a link to apply. So it's riddled in there.
I also just put the pipeline, and we'll I'll pull this up as well, but I just put the pipeline website. And Ginger, just as a reminder, we have all of the TRIO programs in Oregon listed there with the direct link to that program and their application. So regardless of what school your student is wanting to go to, if you just go to this OTA pipeline website, you can find all of the SSS application links in there. And then in there, I guess I'll just go to it now and then share screens just so that everyone's on the same page.
So does this have your letter, like Charlotte, the letter that we're supposed to send to you to let you know that we are referring?
Oh,
a
the
student?
referral letter.
Like I
Referral,
know that that's there, but where's the referral letter at?
it is on our website. It's a little bit hard to find. It's on our list to revise our website. Unfortunately, it is falling as a lower priority right now. Just as we are still short staffed over here at Oregon Tech. So our priorities are our students, but hopefully over the summer, that referral link is going to be a lot easier to find. Right now, I know it's tedious to email people, but really would love if you could send us
So,
just an email asking for it, and we'll be able to send it.
okay, so that's.
Oh, right here, refer a student,
Yeah, it's
Oh,
right there.
right there.
It is on the front.
Yeah, it
but
was
we
just right
only-
on their page and you just scroll down, there it is.
Yeah,
okay, okay. Right,
yeah.
We could add this to the pipeline website too, if you wanted, Charlotte.
That would be much appreciated. Thank
Okay.
you.
yeah, that would be super helpful for the pre-college.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just a reminder on the pipeline, we have everybody's application here, as well as the program website, the link to disability resources at that school, and then any additional information that the program wanted us to notify. So for example, if they have a summer bridge, their contact info, like Charlotte said, the rolling admissions at Oregon Tech, but that's different for other programs. So you can see with OSU, they have it broken down by their different campuses. So that's all there. But then we also have this referral here. And if you do the referral, that comes to me and I get it to the appropriate person at the appropriate campus. And so this can work for SSS, but it can also work for pre-college. So if somebody's working with a pre-college student and their family's moving, you could refer them to another Upward Bound or Talent Search program as well. So just know that that is there as well. Do we have any questions about the pipeline before we go back to Charlotte for additional info?
I do.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so for that pipeline, that top part that you said,
Yeah,
if somebody is gonna refer us, like say, someone in Jackson County from Holly's group refers somebody to Josephine County, which would be our group, would somebody send that in, would that be sent to me somehow so that I can get that to the advisors where the schools are?
yeah, exactly. If somebody fills this out, regardless of who it's for, it comes to me. And then
Okay.
I know all of you, so I forward it to the appropriate person.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a
Nobody
question about
has
the
utilized it yet.
Well, we
So,
need to. That's awesome.
yeah. So just a reminder. So yeah, just let all your advisors know that this is right there. And then, if they don't know which school is serving that, you could just put it in here and then I'll troubleshoot it.
Robin, would it be possible to add another field to this recommendation of
Yeah, of
why?
course. Of
Just
why?
like student is transferring, student is moving.
Oh, yeah.
I recommend this
Like
student.
why
for
they're
TRIO.
referring.
Yes, scholarship opportunities, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank
totally.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else anybody else would like to see on this form? We did it so that it could be from an advisor, but also from a parent or a teacher. It doesn't have to be anybody that's TRIO connected. It's just anybody that's wanting TRIO outreach to go to the student. Okay, well, I'll stop sharing for now. We can always go back if we had more questions about it. Okay, Charlotte, back to you.
Yeah,
Anything else that you were wanting to share? I think top is an important thing because that makes it a little more hidden for students that are looking for the trio language.
it is. Yes. We're still advocating to put more trio in our descriptions around campus and that logo. Oregon Tech really loves to adopt things for themselves. So
Customize.
customize. Yes, I love that. um, I can't think. Our admissions process, students apply. We have our front desk reach out to them and schedule an interview. It's usually around an hour long where we're just getting to know them. Some qualitative questions to go along with the quantitative on the application. Um, from then, that interview notes and any outside information referrals get sent to our director who will make that decision. Um, our application process right now, if you have students that are wanting to apply, it is just taking a little bit um, longer currently. We had to transition out our director, and so now we're uh, having to reteach some roles to new staff members. So really appreciate patience if students are applying for our program right now. We're just it's the start of the term. And some changes have happened over here at Oregon Tech.
Any special things about Oregon Tech that you would want advisors to be able to feature? I think one that you've mentioned to me that I always think about is the internship process that I guess, is it the seniors that do or juniors and seniors?
We are an applied learning institution, so students that learn kinetically, we are a really solid institution for that. Um, Most of our degrees have an applied learning side to it. For any student in MIT medical imaging, their senior year, they go on a year-long externship where they draw for a random place around the state and they start working in hospitals 40 hours a week. Um, it's unpaid, which lends its own set of stressors to students and learning opportunities, um, as well as our various other departments. Psychology, they have applied learning that they have to get connected with our ABA clinic or other facilities around Klamath Falls. So lots of community connections and networking that students are able to have usually later on in their junior and senior years when they're comfortable in their fields. But again, kinetic learning, Oregon Tech is all about it. Uh, if your student is interested in robotics, we do not have robotics on our Klamath Falls campus. That major is only for Portland Metro. That also being said, students that apply to TOP have to be a part of Klamath Falls campus. They cannot be Portland Metro. They can apply to TOP, be accepted in, and then choose to transfer campuses, but our grant only serves Klamath Falls campus.
That's a good clarification. Thank you.
Yes,
Any
absolutely.
other questions for Charlotte for Oregon Tech? Thank you, Charlotte.
I got to hop off and
Yeah.
run, but I hope
Thank you
everyone.
so much for being here. Who would like to go next? Which campus? Western.
Hello, everybody. Chris Laura, Western Oregon University from the Classic SSS program. We have two SSS programs here. We have the Classic, which is called Student Enrichment Program, or SEP. And then we also have the Teacher Prep SSS program. As far as admissions to the college, we also do rolling admissions at this point. So by any time for the college and taking most students at this point for sure. As far as our applying to our program, probably the best route would be to use the pipeline. and the referral makes a huge difference for sure. That form is very helpful. We also host tours for students. So if you connect with myself for admissions, we'll definitely set up a tour. We have a brand new student success center here where we have a first gen center and our 2 trio programs. So we'd like to show that off to folks. And so that would be wonderful to send folks over. And even if it's anywhere from 1 or 2 students want to come or a large group, reach out and we can make that happen. Can have them meet some of our students as well. Process for applying is pretty straightforward, simple application. We currently don't do an interview. That may in our new grant, assuming we're funded and all that good stuff, then we will have a short phone interview for the process after they apply. Usually it takes probably 2 to 4 weeks after they apply to get a response from us at this point. We do serve 250 students on the grant for the Classic, but the institution also provides funding to serve an additional 200. So I serve about 450 in our Classic program. The teacher prep serves 140 students and another 40 to 60 that are institutionally funded. So all told, we have about 650 SSS students. So we have lots of space. We try to bring most folks come in. It's against rolling admissions, but the majority of our students come in over the summer, connecting for the fall. But we do rolling admissions. Right now we have openings. So if folks are transferring, an email to me would be very helpful too. So the referral is great, but if you want to send me a personal email, that's wonderful. I'm happy to follow up. Any questions about our program? Some of the highlights we offer for first year students is we have a first year seminar class. There's 2 first year seminar classes that are required to graduate from Western Gen Ed. They're 4 credits each. Students can take them from us, from our staff for free. So that's one of our big benefits we have. So it's almost $2,000 of tuition and fees and books for those 2 classes, taught by our staff, only open to TRIO students. So it's a great way for them to build community and all that good stuff. So, and always happy to answer any questions via email, give me a call. I'm around most of the time. And yeah, and small class sizes, we have about 3,500 students. Beautiful campus, again, new student success center, lots of we have a diversity scholarship that's up to $6,500 a year that can be, can have for up to 5 years. A lot of great things happening here on campus. And yeah, so any questions, happy to answer any questions, today or email, whatever works out for y'all. But usually students have a real good opportunity to get into our program because of the vast numbers. It is a big deal for someone if they are prior, former TS, or a transfer for SSS program or upper bound. That's a huge deal for us. Just about everyone who's applied that was a prior TRIO participant will get them into our program. I mean, we all struggle with the 2/3 low income first gen, but with our institutional funding, we have a lot of leeway for that. So, and we also have, with our institutional funded students, they could be DACA undocumented. We have no issues. So that's kind of the idea behind that. So that's not even a question in our application. We look at that once they've already applied to college, we look through banners. So again, really recommend folks to apply to our program.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Chris.
Yeah.
What questions do people have for Western? Anything right now?
I've got a question.
Yes.
You mentioned that you have staff that teach 4 credit classes for only your TRIO students. I'm curious, because we teach 1 credit classes, but I'm curious if your student or your teachers have endorsements in those areas, or if there are any special certifications that they have that allow them to teach a 4 credit class at a university.
They have master degrees
in their content area.
Well, it's just in any content for our first year seminar. That's not a requirement for our campus. So, yeah. So it's just it could be I have a master's in sociology and also have an education, but folks have them in different areas. But for our college, we were approved to teach the course as long as we have a master's degree for the first year seminar courses. It's not really a specific content area. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just those classes are approved for. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Of course.
I have a question. Could you tell me a
Yes.
little bit more about the difference between the teacher SSS support versus, general SSS support for the
Sure.
other?
So, yeah, so teacher prep one would be for people that want to go to be K-12 licensed teachers. And some of the service they provide is prep for the Orella testing, helping them prepare to get in ed classes, their application for master's programs, education specific opportunities for mentoring, tutoring for different subject areas, extra math help for the math courses that they need to take. So a lot of similar things that we offer, but just a little more specific for the ed piece. Some opportunities to do some in classroom observations at times, some field trips to different campuses, those type of things.
And how'd you guys decide to kind of create that major specific cohort? Is it just, I know there's a lot of ed majors at West
Yeah.
OU. Is it, do you feel like the needs of ed majors are like different in such a way that they kind of need a separate trio group or?
Yeah. Yeah. Originally, we wrote the grant. Originally, we had close to 6,000 students on campus, and it got to the point where my program had about 600 students in the program, and it was that specific. That there's that little. We had over 1,500 ed students on campus, and again, it was kind of hard to have that generalized advisor. So it's easier to have specific advisors for that major, and with all the different changes with the licensure, it made more sense to have two separate programs. So it's been a challenge. Don't get me wrong, because we're kind of vying for the same student, right? So it's been a challenge at the same time. But I think at the time was just due to the different nature of the ed student, what they needed to have, the specifics with the tutoring, focus on pre-testing for the Orella, the licensure process, and getting to those courses versus the general advising. So I think that's one of the biggest pieces. And then there's a resource room they have as well to kind of prepare for your classroom, those kind of things. So just to give them that little extra amount of support. So probably even now we're close to 40% of our students are ed majors on campus. So it's a huge number. And a lot of them, of course, being first gen. A lot of me, we have a lot of bilingual scholars, a lot of underrepresented students. So there was just another layer of help for them to get that assistance.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'll go next.
Great.
I'm Kim. I'm the director of the SSS program up here at Southern Oregon University. I have Shane and Liz on the phone with us. Yeah, same kind of thing. Admissions, rolling admissions here at the university. We are at this point almost full. They've changed some of the financial stuff, unfortunately, at the university, where you can't carry as much as much debt to the university that you used to be able to. So we're seeing some issues with some of our students not being able to enroll in classes because they carry too high a debt load to the university. So we're finding actually that we're having some students have to leave mid-year because they aren't allowed to enroll in classes, unfortunately, which has been a big challenge for us. But yeah, we have our application on our Trio SSS at SOU website. We serve 190 students here. We're located right in the Stevenson Union on the 3rd floor. We offer some 1-credit classes, not 4-credit, 1-credit classes around scholarship writing and financial management, financial literacy kind of stuff. Yeah, we're a great little campus. It doesn't rain as much here in Ashland as it does anywhere else in the state. And we're right at the base of Mount Ashland. So if you like to ski, I know Shane's got his beard now because he's on the mountain skiing every second he can. What else do you want to know? Shane and Liz, feel free to jump in, and if there's something else I should say. I have also worked in pre-college here in this area. So Ginger and I used to work pretty closely together. I've always worked really closely with RCC. So we've had some pretty good warm handoffs between all of our programs. And we've had really great luck. Nadine from RCC has set up some really great candidates. I think, you know, even if a student has already, the way I'm reading the legs and regs around this, even if a student has already been in an RCC program and has, with the expanded definition of the predictive measures, the predictive indicators for, you know, previous enrollment in TRIO is a predictive indicator. So like if Nadine has a student who's actually done really well in her program and doing really well at RCC and then comes up to the university, if we drop that TRIO support out from underneath that student, their chances of, you know, maybe struggling a little bit more. So we've been, yeah, we've had a just very direct pipeline from RCC up to the university. What do you want to add, Shane?
Probably just that having been a TRIO pre-college advisor at the high school level, I remember taking students, my favorite part anyways, was taking them on the campus visits. And I know what was really special is when we went to Eastern Oregon or University of Oregon or wherever we went, like we always sought out the TRIO space. And that just made it super special because it felt like those are our people, you know what I mean? Whether it was like U of O, make us super welcome. Whether it was downtown Portland, they do a big presentation. So for pre-college students, just please know that you're welcome up here. And I think hopefully that's probably why Kim said like Stevenson's Union, third floor. Please come hit us up. We're more than happy to bring in any TRIO folks. If they're like on a tour, they do great tours here. When I first got hired, I took a tour myself to learn about the area, the campus, and that made me feel much more comfortable. And they do a great job with tours here. And they also do a really nice preview day, multiple preview days, which are really great for students checking out SOU as maybe an option. But during those, it'd be really great if the students, you know, felt comfortable come up and check out the TRIO space here at SOU and the SU.
I have a question, and I apologize if one of you guys said this already. I had to pause for a moment whenever you guys started, but do you guys also prefer if we use the OTA pipeline form for transfer students?
It doesn't matter. I mean, as long as we get it somehow, some way, there's a way to make a referral on our website, or if it goes to Robin, and Robin, she forwards stuff to us all the time.
But you can also just have them do the application directly as well.
Sure.
Anything specific to SOU that you want to highlight as far as things for advisors to consider for programs at SOU?
I would say one of the things, because like the rolling admissions, one thing I've just had from experience is that when students come here in the fall, I feel like the red carpet is open to them. There's everything that's welcoming them and educating them on how to college and be a student here and succeed in everything. And what I found is it's not the case when they come in mid-year, you know, whether it's winter term or spring term. And I've just really found that like when those students get into TRIO and get in fast, that we're really able to just jump in feet first and give them a lot of support. And if it's whether it's their ID card, their bank card they can't figure out, or like something in housing or class schedule, whatever it is, like we can just honestly help them a tremendous amount when they come in mid-year or towards the end of the year for like the last term or whatever it is. That honestly, I just see things kind of fall through the gaps when people come during the year, that when they first come in the fall, like it's just handed to them on a silver platter. So just, that's great that they're getting connected with us as soon as they get here, sort of thing. The other thing would just be honest with you, with by and large, like the bulk of our students earn great grades, they're thriving, doing amazing, using TRIO services. And by and large, that's the bulk. But like Kim also said, we are definitely running into a handful of students that are running into significant balances, which has been really challenging. And I think one of those things that I learned honestly from like Christine and Classic Community College when I was a pre-college TRIO advisor there, and Troy Henry, to be honest with you, was like at the high school level. I'm really glad he trained me when I was working at Seaside High School with a student when they got their award letter to wherever college they were going, that I really looked like a lot of them thought they had a full ride. And they did, because they had Pell, Oregon Opportunity Grant, and scholarships, government tuition, books, and all this sort of stuff. But a lot of times, like the housing portion wasn't in there. And what we're finding, the thorn in the side of our students, it's the housing piece. Like they come in, they're like, oh, I'm fully funded. And then they find out, oh, wow, housing, dorms much cheaper than a mortgage, but still, didn't account for that cost. And that's where finding students are running into trouble. So hopefully we're going to frontline that with an orientation next year where we make sure everybody's financially savvy and knows that they can pay their bills with what they're coming to. But that would just be one thing that Troy really, as soon as I became a true advisor, like, hey, if they're going to college, make sure they got it actually paid for before they step on campus. We don't want them running up debt and sort of thing. So whatever that's worth.
And I guess a side note of that is also not staying at the community college too long and using up too much Pell and too much loan. So to try and get them to the university as soon as you can. And even if they don't yet have the transfer degree or the associates, to know that the TRIO staff at the next institution will help with the reverse transfer process as well. So to keep that in mind, that the university advisors are aware of that process as well. Wonderful. Thank you so much, SOU.
Is it
U of
my
O,
turn?
looks like you're unmuted.
Hi, everybody. So a lot of great things said. So Sherry's with me here. We're at University of Oregon. So our application for the next fall opens up in May. And we start taking applications then. Really good to do it early. I like what Shane said. If we connect with students early and we have time with them over the summer, gosh, there's so many complicated things that happen in those months before school starts. And if we can hit the ground running with students, it just makes it so much easier on them. So really encouraging students to apply early. We also have rolling admissions, but we serve 360 students, and we usually have a wait list starting kind of early to mid fall. And so the sooner the better. Get them in here, get them in place. We hate putting people on waiting lists. That being said, if we do have a direct referral from a TRIO professional or faculty here or something like that, we can sort of monkey around a little bit with the waiting list because we really do value those direct referrals. So if you were to say, hey, this person really needs your help, we would definitely take that into account, even if we're starting a waiting list. Our application is online, and we have an online part, and then we have a part that students have to fill out a program eligibility form, which I'm sure many of you have. We are really happy to help students with the application process in any phase. It can be a little bit complicated for students initially, and so we want to just make it as little of a barrier as possible. We do have a couple of special things we do here. One is we offer a TRIO transfer seminar in the fall. It's 1 credit upper division credit. So for transfer students, they need upper division, so that's attractive. And they also learn a lot about kind of how to transition. They're in the class with other TRIO students who are also transferring. So there's a really strong community that gets built. And they all think, oh, it's okay to be feeling this way because we're all feeling this way. So it's really nice. It's a nice way to start it. We also have a licensed therapist on our staff, so students can access mental health support without complicated, wait lists and insurance and things like that. So that's a really attractive part of our program. We have an in-house career advisor who is Sherry. We have an in-house financial aid specialist. We have priority registration for students. So we're one of the few programs on campus that can offer students day 1, 10 a.m. registration. Classes are getting harder and harder to get here. And so that's a really nice thing for students to have. Campus visits. So just make sure when you're making a campus visit or scheduling one that you let them know you're a TRIO program and that you want us to be involved in your campus visit. They'll get us on board to come in and do a little presentation and kind of just ask students like if they have other questions. We really like to do that. We really like to come see groups. We don't want to miss you guys. And then also just really want to make sure that people don't hesitate at all to please email us directly with any questions. If you want to share our email or connect us directly to a student who's really interested in coming and wants some extra help understanding if that's going to be possible for them, we like the direct connection. We like to help students. We want to make it as easy for them as possible. So please don't hesitate to do that. Sherry, I know I missed stuff, but do you have anything to add?
I thought you killed it. I want to hear what questions people have, but I'll reiterate two things. One, the transfer class has been really awesome for students, not just biased because I teach it, but we just see more engagement from those students. They're more connected to each other and to us all the way through to graduation, which has been awesome. And then the other thing I want to echo is Robin's sentiment about not having students necessarily finish the AAOT or the transfer degree. I know that can mess with your numbers, but a lot of times it is eating up students' funding. What they get, so you're giving them 60 credits of an associate's, they're only getting credits, 45 of them for our general education requirements here at UO. So they're not really getting as good of a deal unless we're individually picking classes that match up to the major they want to transfer into. So a lot of times students are just wasting funding. That's like my big soapbox for transfer students in general. It just sucks for them. Like you're eating, the funding gets eaten up and then they get here and they're like, well, I did my AOT, and I'm like, that's okay. We still require cultural literacy. We still require this specific prereq for the bio major that you didn't take. And so they're still end up taking these lower division classes. And also, yeah, it's just a bummer. So that was my mini soapbox. Yeah.
Great. I have a question. Would you suggest a student then we encourage students to do dual enrollment? Is that like
yes,
a better
yeah, I
choice?
love dual enrollment. That can be really helpful. And we do that with LCC and SWAC, I think,
SWAC,
here at UO. Or planning with us. So we short-lived, UO had a pre-transfer advisor that could have helped students individually pick those classes at the community college and say, okay, we know this will transfer. And it's kind of using TEST, the transfer equivalency system, to pick classes based on the degree they want to get when they get to UO. So this is what I did at a different institution previously, and it's tedious, but it can make sure students use their funding more strategically. Other questions about UO or about being prepared for transfer? That's the whole reason I came here to this meeting, to say those words today. I just want to help transfer students. I wrote my thesis on this too. So like, this is where my heart is.
And I will say, I mean, we love all students, but we have a really special place in our heart for transfer students. And I think part of the reason is because transfer students get overlooked at the university, at least at U of O. I think to some extent, and there are some folks on campus, TRIO specifically, and some other small groups that really want them to be seen and heard and treated like the wonderful people they are. You know, they come here and they sort of, I always tell them they really add to the fabric of our university in a way that we need them. We need their diverse voices. And so transfer students like are a pet project. They're our people. We love them and we want to make them feel good. So
love that. They're also just generally more focused and driven than some of our first time full-time students who are kind of like, I don't know, I'm just wandering around getting a degree. And I'm like, what do you want to do? I don't know. Trans students are like, I'm here to get this degree. This is what I need. They're just more focused, which I appreciate, more motivated. So thanks y'all for doing this.
Anything specific to U of O that you want to highlight for everybody, for the advisors to keep in mind for their students?
Unlike some of the other people mentioned, it is a little bit harder to get into UO. GPA does matter. And just general rigor of the classes when they get here tends to surprise the students. And that's just speaking from what I hear in the classes. Class size is also really scary. So kind of preparing them for some of those more traditional college experiences. The one that's really jumping out of my mind right now, we had a transfer student come in and try to live in the dorms to get that classic experience, and really is having a horrible time. I'm not laughing at her. She wanted something so valid and understanding, and she's literally trying to get out of it right now. So I could see both sides of it, and we're always happy to share very real experiences. I don't really beat around the bush with students, so send them our way if they want to hear more of that kind of stuff, because I'll tell them like it is.
I'd also say the University of Oregon has so many resources that it's overwhelming. And so I think just having a team of people to help you figure out what to pay attention to is really really important because it's almost like so many students are like, I'm not going to take advantage of any of these resources because I'm so overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start. And so just kind of building a team. We always talk about building your team. And we're part of the team, but we're definitely and certainly not the only part of the team. And so just helping them navigate. We're navigators, really. I mean, I think we all are, but U of O just has a lot of stuff.
Any questions for U of O folks?
Now I'm curious what happened in the dorm. What was what was the issue?
Too loud. I mean, dorm, it's like 17, 18-year-old kids with what is she, 20, late 20s?
I think she's 30.
30. I mean,
She
think
doesn't
about
look
that.
30.
No, she doesn't,
But
but
she feels like an
yeah.
imposter.
A lot of
And
noise,
just
a lot of
lots.
shenanigans.
Do you,
That's
do you,
all.
do you typically advise transfer students to not stay in the dorms? I mean, do you take age into account with that? Like, how do you
I'll give
manage
them the real. I'll say, like, if you're looking for like a classic college experience, not quite Animal House level, but if you're looking for that opportunity to feel like what it feels like to be in the dorms, it can be worth it. A lot of students who live on campus are better connected. Just they have the resources, everything's readily available. But I'll also say it's so expensive. Like minimum, the cheapest dorm for 9 months costs you 15 grand. So usually that's enough of a deterrent for most transfer students. They're like, I'm trying to save money. I'll find cheap housing. I'll live a little further. I'll commute. And then I just give lots of insights about like when you're commuting, how to be more actively engaged because everything's happening here. So if you're living 20 minutes away, or we have some people who commute from like Cottage Grove, it's like, make sure you're scheduling your classes so that you can still go to events in the evening before you leave campus. And then we talk parking passes and because all that's really expensive too. So
They also built a new dorm. It's apartment style living that's more for the upperclassmen. So it's more like you have your own room and you share a common space, a kitchen. And so that's been a little more attractive for the more atypical or non-traditional students, but it's really pricey.
yeah, I think that one's like 22,000 for 9 months. When that includes a meal plan of some sort with it, but it's still just a car costs less than that. So
Yeah.
but I think, like I said, the draws can be, you're here, you don't miss as much. You're just more connected and engaged with campus, and that can have other benefits down the line.
Well, thank you both so much. I want to make sure we have time for OSU as well. And then PSU was not able to join us, but I'm here to answer questions about PSU if we have questions about that too. But Alondra, I'd love for you to get to go now.
State. So we also have rolling admissions. Like most of you, students can apply for any term that they wish to come to OSU, with the majority being in the fall. For our application, it's the same one that's on the pipeline website as on our website. So it's super simple. Takes about 5 minutes or so to complete. And then we get it and add it to our wait list. Usually Amy, the director, will do an intake with the student to see for if they qualify for eligibility. And then what type of help they need. We do admit students every term, with the majority being in the fall time, but that's usually mostly reserved for incoming students like freshmen or transfer students. And then in the winter and spring, we admit students that are continuing or have been here for a little bit longer. Unfortunately, we don't serve as many students for the classic 175 and then the STEM program 120 and then Cascades also 120. So it can be a little bit difficult to get in. So we recommend students apply as soon as possible. So the sooner the better. We do try to admit students on a first come, first serve basis, but we also look at the eligibility. We have had some students come in thinking that they're already in our TRIO program since they were in a pre-college program. So it's important to emphasize that they still need to apply to our program in order to be admitted, just because they're not automatically in the program. And then we also we offer a course as well in the fall for transition students, but that might be going away since OSU is creating transition courses for all incoming students. So it doesn't make sense for us to teach it as well as OSU. And then we offer like a careers building course in the winter time. So we're doing that right now. That's worth 2 credits. And we're thinking of bringing back our financial literacy course in the springtime. And then, yeah, we also do campus tours. So OSU, you can schedule with them. And then we also can come in to talk about the program a bit more and answer questions if anyone has any. Or also if you're just on your own campus visit, you could email any of us and we're more than happy to show you the trio space and show you the staff in our space to see what that looks like. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
Can you share a little bit about something unique to the OSU campus? Or something that advisors would be able to share with students that would be unique?
Yeah, so it's a really big campus. There's lots of students, similar to UO. Classes are really big, so it can be very overwhelming for transfer students coming from like a small classroom to like a classroom of 700 students. Most credits do transfer over, so that's really nice for students to not have to like retake different courses for something that they already did. And then we also work, we're under the Education Opportunities Program here at OSU. So there's another program called Student Success and Belonging, which students can either be in TRIO or the Student Success and Belonging, but they cannot be in both of the programs, but they offer similar opportunities. So if TRIO students don't get into our program, they can also apply for the Student Success and Belonging program. And we typically work together with them.
Great. Oh, it looks like there's a question from Ginger.
I could ask it, but I didn't
Okay.
know that it was this platform that I would be asking it. That's just. Because my question is there a financial, because I know it sounds like that there's like some different classes to support your kids through the college navigate was the word that I heard from Sherry, but I just am wondering if there's like some sort of financial literacy course prepared for pre-college students and staff that, you know, that we could potentially support our students with, our kids with, but that would be not necessarily a pipeline thing. That's more of a, I don't know. Question.
I mean, there's different vendors that can supply things, but there's not a general curriculum as far as I'm aware. Does anybody else want to speak to that?
Okay, no worries. Thanks.
Okay.
Our financial literacy, we just look at programs where we can get certified on different financial literacy topics. For example, I do the Next Gen Personal Finance, and that's free. It says for teachers, but if you work at the school and use your email, you should get those resources for free. And you're able to do different modules throughout the whole year, depending on what you're interested, like for paying for college or banking and credit. And they have different topics and it should be free for you. And they're usually 5-week courses, meeting twice a week. And you can do asynchronous as well if you don't have the time to go to a specific time.
I just met with the OSU Cafe folks and they were just talking to me about that as well. And they're going to come to our OTA conference and present to you all there as well about all this. So I'm excited to have them join us.
That's pretty awesome, Robin. I honestly built my whole Savvy Money Skills class largely around, having just gotten listened to them for 1 hour at a conference here in town. They were absolutely incredible. And I asked them for
Nice,
their
that's great.
like slideshow, and they gave it to me, and I kind of like transferred it into SOU language and how it applies here and stuff like that. That's awesome that you have them.
You're talking about the OSU Cafe folks?
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
So in addition to doing the conference, they're wanting to start doing regular, the Zoom PD with us as well. So
Oh, wow.
we're gonna start a whole connection with them, I think. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's awesome. Well, Alondra, thank you so much for speaking to OSU. I know we're basically out of time. Did anybody have any questions about PSU, anything? They also do rolling admissions, but the majority come in the fall, and their trio usually fills up in the summer. So to apply early for PSU, and I think theirs opens in the spring as well. And if I don't know the answer to your PSU question, I will get Linda to give me the answer and get it back to you. Were there any questions about PSU that anybody had? Okay. Well, if you have any, you can reach out to me or of course to Linda. And we'll get those answered for you. This has been so special. Thank you all so much for joining today. We didn't have anybody from Eastern because we don't have a trio program there yet. But if you have any questions about Eastern, I can try and find some contacts and get those questions answered as well. But this has been so special to have you all, and I'm glad we recorded it so more of our community college advisors and all our pre-college advisors can get this information as well. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to stop our recording now.